We have driven all the way from Miami, Florida to New York City. We slept in Daytona Beach, Savannah, North Myrtle Beach, and Washington, D.C., and visited many other places along the way. We finally arrived and spent Christmas evening in the city and drove around Manhattan on the next day. Today we begin our journey back south, but first we're going to explore the not-so-touristy areas of New York, eat a slice at a Brooklyn Pizzeria, and eventually visit Atlantic City. So buckle up, the adventure continues. Good morning. We spent the night at the Holiday Inn Express in North Bergen, New Jersey. Right next door, there is the Days Inn where we stayed back in 1994. We haven't changed that much, have we? Many of my fellow Cuban Americans who now live in Miami called this area home when they first arrived at the United States. Many recall Union City and BERGENLINE Avenue with a certain sense of nostalgia. What they didn't miss, apparently, were the crude winters and having to shovel snow. Most of them worked hard, saved some money, and eventually bought a house in Miami. I want to explore this area a little bit, mainly Avenida BERGENLINE, which is how they used to call it, and the city of Union City. Excuse the cacophony, but that's actually what the sign says. We cruise around seeing all the signs in Spanish. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Little Havana. They even have a botanica. El Pollo Supremo. We used to have those in Miami back in the day. Pollo Tropical put them out of business though. Another fine example of marketing triumphing over quality. Before crossing state lines, we drive up to John F. Kennedy Boulevard East to admire this view of the Hudson River and the island of Manhattan on the other shore. Downtown and the new World Trade Center under construction, the Empire State Building and Midtown, the Time Warner Towers, the Upper West Side, and eventually Harlem in the distance. Our next destination is a little further north. We drive into the borough of Bronx, across the George Washington Bridge. This is, by the way, the northernmost point of our entire road trip. We take I-87 south, passing under the Aqueduct Bridge, the oldest surviving bridge in the city. One of the first points of interest we want to pass by is Yankee Stadium. This modern ballpark you see here was finished in 2009, and it replaced the original historic 1923 Yankee Stadium. This is the Bronx, ladies and gentlemen, the birthplace of hip-hop music. Driving under the train tracks, I make a wrong turn. Oops.
Oh shit, there's one way. Oh.
We make a left on 161st Street, the correct turn this time. It is our intention to reach the hub, which is the heart of the South Bronx. We turn right onto Melrose Avenue for that purpose, but never make it all the way to the famous hub. We decide it's getting late and we rather visit the projects on Washington Avenue. I know, I think we're a little ADD. We go north on 3rd Avenue. Until the early 70s, there was a train line running above this street called the L, for elevated. You may have seen it in movies. We make a left on 168th Street and then a right onto Park Avenue. The place is somewhat deserted. It's supposed to be one of the roughest areas in town, the Webster Projects, according to our on-the-go research, but it doesn't look all that bad. But we'll lock the doors just in case.
Iglesia Pentecostal Hijos de Sion, Inc.
It seems to be at least partially a Latin neighborhood based on the Spanish sign on the Pentecostal church. We continue driving along Washington Avenue in the South Bronx, in this shady-looking neighborhood, which happens to be the poorest congressional district in the United States. They have been trying to revitalize the neighborhood after the economic collapse of the 1970s and the 80s, but as you can see, they still have a long way to go. Well, maybe we should get out of here. Ever since I saw the movie Warriors in the early 80s, I have wanted to go to Conney Island, and that's where we're heading now. We take I-278 towards Queens and Brooklyn. We take this bridge into Wards Island, and then the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge over the East River into the borough of Queens. We continue south with the Manhattan skyline to the right. Crossing the Kosciuszko, we are now in Brooklyn. Now on the Belt Parkway we see Staten Island to the right and the VERRAZANO-NARROWS bridge in front of us. Let's stop for the scenic view. The sight of the bridge is pretty breathtaking. It was the longest suspension bridge in the world in 1964, and it still is the longest bridge span in the Americas. We finally arrived to our coveted Conney Island, and I must say it's a little bit of a disappointment. Of course, we are arriving only 2 months after Superstorm Sandy. Part of the park is still being used for the recovery effort. Still, the area looks a little run down.
This is Conney Island.
Apparently, the amusement park has suffered heavy damage during the storm, and you can see sand dunes formed way inland. The sand is probably a couple feet higher than normal. The wooden deck seems undamaged though, at least to my untrained eyes. That's it, we're going back to Brooklyn, hoping to eat a slice of pizza at Grimaldi's. We are speeding west on the Belt Parkway. In the distance, once again, we see the VERRAZANO-NARROWS bridge. As we turn north, we get to see a great view of the lower Manhattan skyscrapers in the distance. As we get closer, we get a glimpse of the Statue of Liberty. And as we arrive, well, we don't. Google gets lost, apparently, so do we. We try to find the parking to no avail, and we finally see Grimaldi's further down the street next to the white building, but the line is not surprisingly long, and there's no parking, so we keep going. We settle for this place called My Little Pizzeria. The pizza is very good, actually, at this neighborhood joint, full of locals. Who needs Grimaldi's? That place is too touristy anyways, hence the long line. We walk back to the car along the lively streets of Brooklyn.
It's rather cold.
Once again, we pass by the VERRAZANO-NARROWS bridge, but this time we are actually driving on it towards the borough of Staten Island. We are beginning our journey south, back to Florida. We have decided to spend the night in Atlantic City to check out the boardwalk and to try our luck at the slot machines. As night falls, we arrive. It looks like a mini Vegas in the distance. We are staying at the Caesars. One little known fact is that the properties in the Monopoly game were originally named after locations and streets in Atlantic City. This is Atlantic Avenue, for example, and the next one is Pacific Avenue. Now we all know what Boardwalk stands for. We cruise along Pacific Avenue going south to see what's going on. Not much apparently. Must be the cold weather. Okay, let's go back north. We pass by our hotel, the Caesars, once again, and continue exploring. I think we took a wrong turn, so let's go back to the Caesars and check in.
This is the famous Atlantic City boardwalk.
We take a stroll along the boardwalk. Also inspecting some of the damage perpetrated by Superstorm Sandy 2 months earlier.
Yeah, this was supposed to be hand level. This was supposed to be the level of your hand.
Yeah, and this is, I'm guessing there was wood down here.
Yeah.
And this is all covered in sand.
It's all covered in sand.
Holy shit.
Well, let's risk our lives here. And hopefully, no any good nail sticking up. I guess we were not really supposed to be there. Okay. Back inside.
We've been told that this fountain at the Caesars is like a mini Bellagio. Let's see if it's true. Okay, it's time to say goodbye one more time. On our next video, we drive down to Washington, D.C. and pay a visit to Obama, Lincoln, and the Smithsonian Aerospace Museum. Until then, enjoy the fountain. It's quite nice. As always, thank you for watching and see you on the road.